She was just a poor mother selling roasted groundnuts in the dust of Abba Market, until she gave away her last meal, a small bowl of beans, to a stranger's crying child. She thought no one saw her, but someone did, and that changed her life forever. "Eat, baby," she whispered, pushing the bowl forward. The child's mother gasped. I don't have anything to give. It's fine. You look tired." She smiled faintly, her eyes sunken from hunger. 2 flies buzzed around. Her broken sandals dug into the mud. Her wrapper barely held from slipping, but she stood tall. Some boys nearby laughed. Even her own twins don't get full. "See her feeding strangers." She said nothing. She just turned barefoot and walked back to her stall. Her decision that day, to stay kind. Even when life wasn single quotes, the door creaked open more like a curtain draped across a wooden frame than a real door. Inside, a small kerosene lamp flickered weakly. Smoke curled from the ceiling, thick with burnt yam peels. Her twin girls sat in silence. One braided the other's hair. Their school uniforms were folded on a chair, worn thin at the elbows. "Mama," whispered Ziba, the elder by 3 minutes, "did you eat today?" She didn't answer, just dropped her basket in the corner and knelt near the charcoal stove. The pot was still empty. Caleb walked in just then, her husband. Dirty boots, shirt unbuttoned, sweat-stained. "You gave the beans away again, didn't you?" His voice cut like a razor. "I saw a child crying. She hadn't eaten. Own children haven't eaten." Silence. The lamp made a soft pop. He didn't shout. That was worse. He just sat, tired, broken, like a man who'd lost too many times. She moved closer, touching his hand. "I'm trying." He pulled away. Then came the line that cracked something inside her. "Trying won't fill a plate." That night, she didn't cry. She just held her girls close and whispered, "Tomorrow, Mama will try harder. I promise." The rain started without warning. Hard, wild drops, hammering the tin roofs of the market. People scattered. She was already soaked, her wrapper heavy with water, her broken sandals squishing through the puddles as she dragged her basket toward the bus stop. Then she saw her, a young schoolgirl, maybe 10, standing barefoot on the edge of the road. One slipper was broken, the other completely gone. The child's books were tied in a nylon bag, held to her chest. The woman didn't ask questions. She pulled off her own worn slippers and knelt in the mud. "Put these on." The girl's eyes widened. "But Auntie, I can't put them on. You'll catch a cold." She smiled and walked away, barefoot, again. A taxi driver nearby shook his head. Some people still carry light, even in storms. She didn't hear that. She just kept walking. That night, her feet bled, but her soul didn't. The market was quieter today. The rain had left puddles in every corner, and the air smelled of wet onions and kerosene smoke. She wiped her stall with a rag, arranged her groundnuts in neat little bags, and adjusted the old plastic sheet overhead to block the dripping roof. Across the street, under the shade of a mango tree, a black SUV was parked. Tinted windows, shiny, tires out of place. She didn't notice it at first, but when she bent down to help a pregnant woman lift her basket into a bus, she caught a glimpse. The passenger window rolled slightly down. A man inside, watching. Their eyes met for just a second. He didn't wave, didn't speak, but she felt it. Later, as she packed her things to leave, that same SUV passed by slowly. The window is down, just enough for a camera to click. Just once. She stood still, wrapper flapping in the wind. "Who watches the poor?" she whispered. "And why now?" She returned to the market early. The ground was still damp, but the sun had pushed through the clouds. Children chased each other between stalls, laughing. Her girls had gone to school barefoot, again, but smiling. When she reached her spot, something was there, an envelope, resting on the wooden bench where she always sat, cream-colored, thick. She looked around. No one was nearby. She opened it. 10,000. She blinked, heart racing. No note, no name. She could buy rice, slippers, soap, even pay school fees. But she turned to the woman beside her, an old tomato seller with cloudy eyes. "Did you see who left this?" "No, child. Maybe it's a mistake." She stood, walked to the local church office nearby. "Please," she said, placing the envelope on the table. "If anyone comes back looking for this, tell them a groundnut seller found it." The secretary started. "Are you serious?" She just nodded and walked away. That day she sold nothing. But her soul, still spotless. The church compound buzzed with activity. Plastic chairs were lined in rows. A speaker crackled with gospel music. A big banner read, "Annual Mercy Drive, blessing the poor." She stood at the back, holding Zeba and Zuri's hands, their hair tied with mismatched ribbons. Her wrapper was faded. Her blouse had been stitched 3 times. The line moved slowly, people receiving small care packages, gari, soap, tinned tomatoes. Then came her turn. She stepped forward with her girls, smiling, but the woman at the table, a tall lady in a gel, gold bangles up her wrist, frowned. "You wait," she blinked. "Ma, where's the envelope you took from the market?" The woman snapped. Loudly. People turned. I returned it, to this same church." A scoff. "So now thieves dress like saints. This drive is not for people like you." Murmurs spread. Someone chuckled. "She wants free things. They always do." She didn't shout, didn't beg. She looked down at her daughters. Then looked back at the woman and said softly, "If help must come with shame, let hunger stay, my friend." And she walked away. No soap, no gari, just 2 little girls and her pride intact. He didn't mean to follow her, but something in her voice, the way she didn't fight, didn't shout, stayed with him. Michael, barely 20, had been helping with the Mercy Drive, holding clipboards, ticking names, but after she walked away with her twins, barefoot and silent, he couldn't shake the feeling. That evening, he saw her again, walking down the red dirt path behind the market, girls on either side, balancing her empty tray on her head. He followed at a distance. She stopped at a small junction, dropped the tray, and sat on a stone, opened a small paper from her wrapper to cubes of maji and a sachet of gari. She poured water into a plastic cup, broke the cube, stirred the mix, and passed it to her daughters. "Mama, you too." She smiled. "You too. Eat, Mama will drink later." They ate slowly, gratefully. Michael's eyes burned. He turned back, didn't speak, didn't ask, but he wrote her name that night on a different list. Not the poor, the worthy. The river didn't care who you were. It flowed past rich men's shoes and poor women's feet just the same. She sat on a flat rock by the bank, wrapper soaked and loose. The twins were with a neighbor. The sky above threatened more rain. She stared into the water, not moving, not blinking. Her hands were stiff with cold, her throat dry from days of silence, and her chest, it just hurt, deep, low, like something had been pressing down for years, and finally crushed bone. She reached for her wrapper, that faded one she wore almost every day, and tore it, just like that, down the seam. Then she screamed, not loud, but long. The birds flew from a tree nearby. The wind paused. Her hands covered her face. "I'm tired," she whispered. "To God, I'm tired. I gave everything. What else do you want from me?" A leaf floated by. She didn't look up when someone stepped forward behind her, a voice, gentle, "You gave," and someone saw. She turned. It was Michael, holding a small parcel, quiet, soft, eyed. He placed it beside her, wrapped in a banana leaf. Yam, fish, soap, bread. He didn't speak again, just nodded and left. She didn't stop him, didn't thank him. She just whispered to herself, "Even ants defend their dead. Why won't the world defend the living?" It was the headmistress who said it first. "Madam Zeba hasn't been in class for 3 days now." She froze. "What? No. I see her wear a uniform every morning." "Yes, she wears it, but she doesn't come inside." Her heart raced. That evening, she watched, pretended to leave first. She saw Zeba, her brave little one, slip away after waving goodbye. Not toward school, but toward the mechanic yard, by the roadside. She hid behind a bush and watched. Zeba was scrubbing oil off tires, sweeping gravel, carrying water in a rusted tin. The foreman tossed her 100 notes carelessly. "Don't drop it this time." Her daughter bowed and ran off. Later that night, when she confronted her, Zeba broke. "Mama, we needed the money, for chalk, for soap, for your back pain." She didn't shout. She just turned her face to the wall, silent tears rolling. Her child had become her, giving everything, hiding pain. But what hurt more was that she hadn't known. She whispered, "When a child learns sacrifice before joy, the world has failed that child." That night, as the wind hummed against the tin roof of her humble hut, she sat cross-legged on a faded mat. The silence of the dark was broken only by the distant rumble of rain and soft, low murmurings of the village. Said, every so often, her eyes would lift to the tiny star visible through a cracked window. She had retreated into herself after Zeba's secret had unraveled her world. Yet, in that most desolate hour, A knock echoed on the door. She wasn't expecting anyone, yet a part of her longed for a voice in the dark. Slowly, she opened the door. Standing there was Michael again, the quiet volunteer whose eyes held the kindness of 1,000 unsaid words. "Madam," he began softly, stepping into the dim glow of the lamplight, "I have something for you." He extended a small, worn leather envelope. "It belonged to someone who trusted me to pass it on when the time was right." Her fingers trembled as she accepted it. Inside, tucked neatly between a faded photograph and an old-school report, was a promise, a letter of recommendation from an influential community elder. It spoke of her daily sacrifices, her unwavering kindness, and the strength that lay beneath her silent demeanor. "This," Michael whispered, "is your chance to be recognized. There's a program at the church for women who uplift their community through acts of kindness. They want someone like you." Her heart pounded. For the first time, she felt a glimmer beyond the constant struggle. It wasn't merely charity, it was acknowledgement. Her sacrifice had not been in vain. "Wanda, she stuttered, unsure if she could allow herself to hope. Michael smiled gently. "Redemption begins in small moments. Today, you choose to embrace it." In that moment, as tears mingled with relief on her cheeks, a painful truth transformed into a quiet resolve. "I am more than my struggles. I am the promise of tomorrow." Her mind raced with plans. How maybe, just maybe, she could enroll in that program. What if this lead could mend the broken chapters of her past? What if she could set a new example for her girls, that even when betrayed by circumstance, one can rise again? That night, as the wind carried away the echoes of despair, she made a decision. "Tomorrow, I will try again. For me, for my children, and for the hope I once forgot." The church courtyard was packed. Chairs scraped the floor, drums echoed, and colorful wrappers swayed in rhythm as women danced to welcome the guest speaker, a government woman from Abuja, tall and confident. Today wasn't just another food drive, it was different. Michael had insisted she come. "Just sit," he'd said, smiling. "No one's asking you to speak." She'd worn her cleanest wrapper, the purple one with faded gold trim. Ziba and Zuri held her hands tightly. They felt something to Dot. Then came the moment. A man walked to the podium, hold a mic, read from a list, and for the final award, Woman of Quiet Courage. "This one is special. Not for fame, not for education, but for heart." Pause. The crowd leaned in. "Please rise." Madame Adura, groundnut seller of ABA Market. She froze. Someone nudged her. Her feet wouldn't move. People turned. Gasps. Murmurs. That one. Wasn't she the one they insulted last time? Isn't she the one whose daughter was seen working? But then silence. She stood. Slowly. She walked forward, head low, but her back straight. The woman from Abuja handed her a small plaque and an envelope. "This," she said, "is not just for your past. It's an investment in your future. You are what a community should be." The audience clapped, not loud at first, then louder. Caleb was in the back. He stood, too, for the first time. He clapped. The sun rose quiet that morning. No rain, no shouting, just soft light pouring over the red soil outside her doorstep. She stood by the door of a new house, small, painted, yellow, with a tin roof that didn't leak. The air smelled of earth and charcoal. Somewhere in the distance, a cock crowed. She breathed it in slowly. Her name was now on the land papers. A gift from the foundation. A place she didn't beg for. A place she earned. The front door had a real lock now. No more curtains pretending to be doors. No more patchwork windows letting in the cold. For the first time in years, she slept without fear of the wind. Ziba and Zuri played outside, wearing proper shoes, real shoes, with soles, with socks. Their laughter danced in the air, high and untamed, like birds suddenly freed from cages they never knew they were in. Inside, she laid out breakfast: boiled yam, fried egg, and Milo. Everything was still simple, but nothing was the same. She caught herself smiling, not because of the food, but because of peace. There was no noise in her heart, no hunger clawing under her ribs, no guilt burning behind her silence. Just breath, just softness. Just now a knock. She froze, not because she feared anything, but because some knocks changed things. She opened the door. It was Caleb, older, softer, his shirt tucked in, hair cut low, eyes full, not of pride, not of shame, of everything in between. She said nothing. He swallowed. "I heard everything. I saw you on the poster in town." Still, she said nothing. He looked down. I didn't know how to face you. Not after I left. Not after what I said. Her eyes didn't blink. Her arms folded across her chest. The silence pressed between them like another person. He dropped to one knee. Not to propose, just to apologize. I failed you, he whispered. I didn't see the fire in you. I mocked it. I called it foolish. I called your giving weakness, but it was strength. I see that now. She sat on the small wooden bench beside the door, quietly, as if considering a price. You left when I needed strength, she finally said. But maybe we both needed to break first. He looked up, eyes watery. I have changed, Ada. Truly, I came to ask for a new chance, not to erase the past, but to rewrite what's ahead. She didn't reply. The twins peeked from behind the house, unsure. They recognized him, but not entirely. He opened his arms slowly, palms up, not demanding, just waiting. The girls looked at her. She nodded. Once they ran, he embraced them, burying his face in their necks. His shoulders shook. He held them like a man who'd touched regret and didn't want to drown in it again. Then he looked up at her. You are the woman I was too small to deserve. She walked inside, came back with a key, not to the house, to a box. She opened it on the bench beside him. Inside were the things she never sold, the things she never gave away, even when they were all she had. A torn wrapper, a faded photo of the twins as babies, a note from Zeba Mama, I'll work, don't cry, the certificate from the award ceremony, and a single red bead from the slippers she gave away in the rain. She placed them in his hands. This, she said, was me, while you were gone. This is why I never broke. He stared at the objects, his hands trembling. I never knew, he whispered. I never asked. She stood. The morning sun touched her shoulders, her forehead, her feet. Her whole body glowed with something bigger than forgiveness, something rooted in grace. You left a girl, she said, but karma raised a woman. He wept, jawed she didn't, because her tears were spent, and her joy was calm, solid, like yam under the coals. Neighbors passed. Some stopped to stare. Some whispered. Some bowed their heads. They remembered how she used to walk barefoot in rain. They remembered how she gave away her food. They remembered how she stayed quiet while others insulted. Now she stood tall, in shoes, in strength, in silence that demanded respect. That afternoon, the foundation delivered a new sign to the community center, a Dura women's program for the strong ones the world forgot. She didn't cry, but when she saw her name in paint spelled right, full, proud, she touched it with her fingers, like she was touching proof. Proof that kindness is not weakness, that poverty is not shame, that silence is not absence, and that karma doesn't always come to break. Sometimes it comes to build. Never forget, one small act of kindness can echo forever. Tell us, what part touched your heart?